This is the Mind Body Detox Podcast, where we discuss all things integrative health and wellness, interviewing folks from all over the world, sharing insights and wisdom for how to live a healthier life in mind, body, and spirit. Welcome back, everyone, to the Mind Body Detox Podcast. I'm your host, Mind Body Medium, Kara Lovehart, and today we're going to dive into the topic of cannabis and CBD products. Specifically, we're going to be interviewing Heather Kreider, and she is the co-owner of Hempfield Botanicals and Hempfield Apothetique. This is located right here in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. She is a registered Pennsylvania nurse. She is a Pennsylvania registered nurse and a licensed esthetician, and she brings over 23 years of experience in skincare and wellness to her role as owner of the Hempfield Botanicals and Apothetique. She has her passion in the intersection of premium skincare. I'm going to start this all over, Heather. All right. So we're bringing on Heather Kreider today, and she brings over 20 years. We're bringing on Heather Kreider today, and she brings over 23 years of expertise in skincare and wellness to her role as the co-owner of Hempfield Botanicals and Hempfield Apothetique, and this is located right here in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. She is a registered nurse in Pennsylvania and a licensed esthetician, and Heather's passion lies at the intersection of premium skincare and therapeutic benefits of cannabis. So Firefly Hollow Wellness uses these products, and we're really excited because we've got to tour the facility. We're really big fans of all the product line, and I'm really excited to interview her today. But let's talk a little bit more about Heather's background before we bring her on. She is certified in advanced cannabis training and PA dispensary agent certified. Heather is a vocal advocate for responsible cannabis use and education. She holds a Pennsylvania medical marijuana card and has used her knowledge to empower others as a cannabis expert panelist at the International Congress of Aesthetics and Spa. Heather's expertise has been widely recognized, with her writings featured in top industry publications like Dermoscope Magazine, Skin Inc. Magazine, and Massage Magazine. She's also served as the focus group task force for the International Spa Association, where her insights help advance the spa and wellness industries. But beyond Heather's credentials, she has a dynamic teaching style, thoughtful advocacy, and love for approachable cannabis education. And that's what makes her a beloved voice in this industry. I'm the same way, everyone. As you guys know on this podcast, it's grounded, it's practical, and it's approachable. So that's why we're bringing her on. So whether through Heather's writing, her public speaking, or one-on-one conversation we're going to have with her today, she's on a mission to help others discover the restorative power of hemp and cannabis products. So let's bring Heather Kreider on to the show. Hi, Heather. Thanks for being here with us.
Hey, Kara. It's nice to be here. Thanks so much for giving me the opportunity to chat with you today.
Well, I've been wanting to talk to you for years. When I first met you guys and I saw your company, I was in love. I was in love with your ethics, your integrity, your brand, just everything about the products. And when I met you guys in person too, and learned about your history and your background, I just thought this is great and so cool that you're local and very close to us. So I'd love for you to share, Heather, what actually inspired you to transition from your career in nursing to co-founding Hempfield Botanicals. I know it makes sense, product lines there too, but where did that transition actually get influenced to go from your background into the cannabis industry?
Yeah, so you had mentioned Make Sense. So Make Sense originally began about 16 years ago, and it began in our kitchen as a hobby with a bar of soap. So, and it gradually then led to where we are today. So, but with Hempfield Botanicals, we started doing the research for Hempfield Botanicals in December of 2017. So that was around the time when we started, and that was prior to the Farm Bill being passed, the Farm Act being passed. So we kind of got a little bit of a jump ahead of the game because we knew that was really forthcoming and about to happen. So we made sure that we were kind of strategically placed and had our ducks in a row ahead of time so that when that Farm Bill passed, you know, we could really hit the ground running. So yeah, it began about 2017. Absolutely.
Well, that's one of the reasons why we worked with you guys just out of the gates, because you had already had a head start on everything. You had such a reputation. And I found it interesting that 4 or 5 years into working with you guys, we had so many companies then coming out of the woodwork, contacting us, calling us, showing up with samples. And it, for me, there's a full spectrum decision I make as a business owner for bringing a product to work with our public clients. But it was not only like the sales tactics they were using, but just the quality. And there was a lot of things that just weren't really up to par in my standards. And I'm wondering, since you've been in this since sort of the beginning, what has it looked like as far as the evolution since things were like everywhere? It's at gas stations, CBD prep head products, and it's like the education piece maybe wasn't always there. What have you seen that's changed or you've observed in general regarding public perception and maybe even product development?
Mhm. Yeah, it's changed drastically. So, you know, there's always going to be those naysayers out there that, don't necessarily agree that the products work. But it's really what we rely on is on the experience of the end user, to help spread the word. So we do see a lot of thoughts changing around cannabis, especially the more we talk about it. It was such a taboo subject. And I remember the first time on social media that I actually posted that I was a cannabis user and have my medical card. And it was such a weird thing to actually hit that enter button because it's like such a stigma. But the people that know me, know my passion for it and, know my personal philosophies and, being a business owner. And all of those things can still happen when you are a cannabis user. You don't have to be a burnout, to find benefits from cannabis. So the perception is definitely changing. I've seen it evolve over the years. Like I said, there's always going to be companies that come in right at the beginning of things when, they just want to see like, oh, I can make a quick buck, get in, get out. And that happened for some, and some, it's just how things work in the market. But we feel like the companies that really set high standards from the beginning are the ones that are still here. And we're grateful for that. And that's really what we pride our company on, is education, making sure it's based on research, and all of that. So yeah, it has definitely helped us stay in the game. And the other thing that I see that's really progressing too, along with like the cannabis journey, is the medical world and how it is absolutely opening up. It's pretty amazing to see hospital systems carrying our product, recommending our product. So yeah, it's definitely changing and for the good.
Thank you so much for pioneering that. And just, I know that stepping out in a space where it's not always something's not fully accepted. I know that being a holistic health clinic owner, we get a lot of flack. People have projection of what they don't understand. But most of the people that I have met, even before this became more mainstream, that use cannabis and still do, they're really high performers. They're not burnouts, like you said. They've used it to manage their stress or manage their sleep. So I'd love for you to speak to, like, I want to also bring awareness. There may be listeners that have not actually even ventured or even heard anything about this. They still maybe not have had awareness or dipped their toe in anything CBD or THC. So could we talk a little bit about the difference between those two products and how they show up and how they're used, what symptoms or things that people are using them for?
Yeah, absolutely. So THC and CBD are one of over 100 different cannabinoids that are found in the cannabis plant. So, when we talk about CBD and THC, those are the main two, the biggest ones. They're the most abundant in cannabis typically. So that's really why they get most of the, highlights in the market. But THC in itself is and when I say psychoactive, I mean the mind altering part of it. I still feel like CBD is somewhat psychoactive because it does affect your brain. So that is somewhat psychoactive, but it's not the high psychoactive that most people think of. So, like I said, THC gives you that euphoric feeling where CBD does not. They affect different parts of what's called the endocannabinoid system. And the endocannabinoid system really regulates everything in our body. It really helps to create homeostasis within your body, and that's a balance. So they kind of work together for that, and lots of other different things like pain and inflammation. I mean, there's a ton of studies out there. Fortunately, not a lot in the US yet, just because it's been such a controlled substance and a no taboo, since the war on drugs and all of that. So lots of other countries have studied it and found amazing benefits. So yeah, I mean, people that are just new to cannabis and cannabis use, definitely there is a difference between them. If you are drug tested at work, you definitely need to stay away from any THC type of products, even full spectrum oral oils. So CBD is allowing people that do get drug tested at work to be able to use a product that is natural, that can help with pain relief and inflammation, and all of that. So, I mean, I could go on and on about the science behind it, which is intensely deep. But, just the main things, it's proven medically to reduce inflammation and pain and a lot of other things. Cell death, apoptosis of cancer cells. So lots of different things that research proves that it is beneficial. So we'll be seeing more and more research come out, and that's very exciting. So yeah.
Yeah, the more research and the educational piece that you guys are doing and that other companies are doing, and the highest standard for integrity and the quality, I think, continues to make it more accessible. And the one thing that when you guys came out with your product line and we just were like, we're jumping on, let's do this. And, for us, that one question was like, well, what are people going to think? Right. We're like, we're doing it anyway. And then you're like, hey, Hershey Spa has these products in their product.
Yes.
And we're like, okay. And that was one thing for us, like that helped us move forward. So it was silly because I knew that this is like the benefits of it. And I was experiencing the benefits. And it was all about that conversation with our clients. And one thing I have to say that really kept hitting the nail for them, like of the choice to, yes, we're going to try the CBD massage oil in a massage session, was they carry them at Hershey Spa. And they were like, oh, well, then it must be, it was so funny because let me show you the statistics. Every bottle has the testing, third-party testing, so you can see that it's THC free, and the educational piece was there for us. And one of the things that found interesting, you said that CBD also, even though it doesn't have THC, it still can be psychoactive. We had some clients that worked at different facilities that they were getting drug tested. That was one of their biggest concerns of, I want to make sure that this doesn't have THC in it. So we gave them the specs and we started working with them. And the one session I had with a gentleman, we were using your product, the Hempfield Botanicals massage oil, and that was for the full body. And that is transdermal. So we were getting it from the skin. So they're not orally taking or ingesting the CBD, but it still works. And he wasn't expecting the results he had. Yeah. He got off the table and I remember he looked at me and said, he was so relaxed. And he had been working with us on a regular basis. He was so relaxed that he almost didn't believe me because he felt so relaxed that he was concerned because he's never used cannabis before, like regular, any sort of other ingestion. I think he thought that we were fibbing to him, that there was no THC, and we had to educate them a little bit more. And he was like, wow, this is really interesting that this is helping me to the degree it did. So pain relief, anxiety relief, he just had better sleep. He was reporting how well he did with it. And of course, we've had lots of other stories after that with the products, with the topical products, and then with the oral oils. So could you just briefly, for those of our clients and others who may be listening that use your products, could you explain to us just briefly the difference between the CBD oral oils and then maybe the one that is the full spectrum that does have THC in it? Because there are different in that.
Right. Yep. So absolutely. So a full spectrum oral oil is basically, it includes all of the different components. It's not an isolated product. So just like in an essential oil, you can extract an essential oil and then also extract an isolated part of that full essential oil, like terpenes, which are basically what makes up essential oils. So you could extract individual terpenes or individual things. The same with, vitamins. It's like they can extract a natural derived vitamin C from citrus fruit and then, manufacture that into a vitamin C, pill capsule. So it's basically the same thing with full spectrum oral oil. So they're extracting basically all of it. So that includes cannabinoids like THC, CBD, CBN, CBC, CBG, all of those different cannabinoids, and then also the terpenes, chlorophyll, like all of the different flavonoids, things like that, that are extracted out of the plant. Our oral oils that are non-THC, basically they extract out that isolated CBD molecule, and then we then add that back into a hemp seed oil, and then add in very specific terpenes back into those oral oils. So that every time you get our non-THC oral oils, they're going to be a consistent dose, a consistent base of everything. CBD, terpenes, so you're going to get that same reaction in your body, that whether it be uplifting or calming or help with sleep. With a full spectrum oral oil, unless you farm that crop and that one specific strain of hemp and then extract it and then use a single source of the extract in a product, that whole batch will be the same until that whole amount that's been extracted is used up. When a new batch comes in, it could be completely different because nothing is ever the same in nature. It's just like when you get an orange. When you bite peel an orange and eat it, it's delicious and it's sweet. And you're like, okay, I'm going to go back and get another bag. Same grocery store, same day, different batch, different tree, maybe a different area of the farm. So it's all very different. We cannot control nature. So the only thing in a full spectrum oral oil that's going to always be consistent is the amount of CBD in it, because we third party test for that. Everything else is kind of like a crapshoot. You don't know what you're going to get. So I almost say like a full spectrum is almost like a multivitamin, because it's going to give you all of those different things and fill up all those receptors. But then it one time could cause you to be relaxed, and then the next time it could cause you some energy. So it really depends. It's nature, and it's not a controlled product.
Thank you for that, because the full spectrum still has the enormous amount of benefits. Some people prefer that, but if they want to saying like right now by my desk, I have tunnel vision. So this one's for focus, like the terpenes you have added to this. If I feel like the midday slump, I'm like, let me use some of this. And then I have 40 winks by my bed, like to help me sleep. And then the comfort one is so like, for me, it helps with like a little bit of that anxiety or that anxiousness for me. And I really love that. So I just think it's definitely important for people to kind of know the difference.
Yes.
But if some people ask commonly, they say, I use the topical CBD oil. Do I still have to use the oral? And what's the difference between the two? And can they use them together?
Yeah, you absolutely can use an oral oil and a topical product together. So topical products are basically to treat a localized area. So for instance, if I have a shoulder injury, and I just hurt it playing tennis, or I don't know, whatever, lifting my dog, I'm going to immediately put that muscle recovery or the salve on that specific area, and it's going to treat just locally. It's not systemic. So systemic means it has to cross what's called the blood-brain barrier. And that blood-brain barrier runs through your whole circulatory system. So it covers your brain in this lovely little coating and all of your capillaries as well. So, and what that is, it's a protective mechanism in your body so that when a toxin comes into your body, it's not absorbed into your system. Yes, it can. Toxins can really harm someone, but it's there to protect as much as it possibly can. And when you put something on topically, it doesn't go through the blood system. It will not absorb through your capillaries because of that protective blood-brain barrier mechanism in there, unless it's called a transdermal product. If it's a transdermal product, then it will have a chemical added to it to help it carry that through the circulatory system. So that's why even if our our topical products had THC in them, you cannot scientifically, biologically absorb THC or CBD into your bloodstream topically unless it's labeled transdermal.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that wild? So then oral oils, because you're taking them systemically, you're actually taking them, you're holding them underneath your tongue, you're swallowing them, and it's absorbing and being processed through your system. That's when it reaches your circulatory system. So if you would take a full spectrum oral oil and use that topically, or not topically, orally, you will fail a drug test. Most likely it will, because of that very small amount of THC in it. But topically, no, not unless it's a medical product that has a transdermal additive to it. And that's typically found at a dispensary.
Wonderful. That's good to know.
Yep.
And then for someone that is, using the topical, they're working with their physical pain, body stuff. I get the question often, do I use the oil, the massage oil, or do I use the muscle recovery, which is a more of a salve,
Yep.
or do I use the lotion? So there's 3 products there. And that's one common thing that people are asking about.
Yeah. So I always say, like, if you think about the massage oil, it's a very small per ounce dosage, because it's 17.5 milligrams per ounce in the massage oil. But that's meant literally, it's going to be on you head to toe. You're covering your whole body in 2 ounces of, massage oil. When you're spot treating something, just in that one localized area, it's a little bit more concentrated for that specific area. So that's why our salve and our muscle recovery are a little bit higher concentration. So the massage oil, again, is made for all body, throughout your whole body. Muscle recovery is really good for, think about muscle, right? So like muscle aches and pains, strains. It's great for, a post-workout recovery. Amazing for that. If you go golfing and you're a little bit sore from that, fantastic. It's 75 milligrams of CBD per ounce in the muscle recovery. The salve, on the other hand, is 187 milligrams per ounce. So it's a little bit much stronger. And we always say that's more for like that severe chronic pain. So people that have maybe like osteoarthritis or different arthritis types, different types of conditions like that are chronic injuries, chronic pain, people that have back surgery that, are still dealing with pain. It's fantastic for that. So it's kind of like a low, medium, and a high grade product.
Thank you. That's perfect the way you put that there. And we have a lot of people that work with this for chronic inflammation, chronic pain. They have either autoimmune conditions or fibromyalgia. And autoimmune conditions, you get a lot of inflammation, just, randomly. So like the oral oils and the topical, I found been really great for, people who have those conditions and in managing the inflammation, because that causes all sorts of mental fatigue and chronic stuff with the brain, as well as physical fatigue and all the other things that come along with it. But before we move into talking about the legal landscape of CBD products, I just want to briefly touch if there are any other things that all the clients that are working with you guys that chronically are having pain, what other symptoms are they experiencing relief from, or other things that you've noticed that have been really cool success stories?
Oh goodness, there's so many success stories out there. One of the main things that people use it for is sleep, right? Sleep and pain, those 2 things, the main things, sleep, pain, and inflammation. But if you think about it, like sleep is so underrated. Like we need sleep. It's been shown that when you sleep and your brain and your body goes into certain sleep stages and certain sleep zones, that it actually helps circulate your cerebral spinal fluid, which washes your brain and helps not clean, but it keeps your brain healthy, right? So when you're not sleeping, it wreaks havoc on your body. It can increase pain when you're not getting that restful sleep. Your body doesn't recuperate like it needs to and rebuild itself while you're sleeping. So that's the biggest thing that we see people, with the stress of the world, that's, everything that goes on in your life, health issues, family issues, all of that, it really, sleep makes a huge difference. So if we can help them get good sleep, that a lot of times helps ease pain, and things like that. So it's like this weird vicious cycle, that people get stuck in. So if he can kind of help one thing, it can help with another. Or if he can help relieve their pain, a lot of times they sleep better. So it's very tied together. But those are the three main things. But again, like I said earlier, there's so much research out there. Patients that are going through cancer. I mean, if you look at it this way, on the PA Medical marijuana website, you have to fall into very specific diagnoses of certain conditions. So there's all these diagnoses on there. So for instance, you mentioned autoimmune diseases like lupus and all of those, IBS, irritable bowel disease, all of those things, those are on the medical list. So there's scientific research that backs that it helps to improve those conditions, or not necessarily take them away, but helps with symptoms as well. So symptom management. So, I mean, if you think about it that way, there's a ton of medical conditions that are out there that, are being helped by cannabis. Seizures, we know all of them. There's so many. And I know that it's going to gradually we'll be finding out more and more things. Like even for one thing, for me, migraines, like I am a migraine sufferer since I've been 18, and how it has helped me, myself, in my personal life, it's unbelievable. So, they're even tying endocannabinoid deficiency, which is not being able to, your body produces these endocannabinoids. So when your body's not producing them, you have to supplement it with what's called phytocannabinoids from cannabis. And they are actually showing that infertility issues are potentially being caused by endocannabinoid deficiency. So I think it's more and more and more, the more we research, the more we're going to find out how this ties directly to our bodies and our endocannabinoid system.
Yes. And I think that the effect is the positive benefits are so vast. And I think that we think about the physical symptoms first. And then that's why I love that you really wailed into sleep, because sleep is so crucial, and not just for stress and for the lymphatic system, as you said, to drain the brain. It's one of those things where I think we often forget that stress and the ability to manage stress really comes with a nervous system that's been regulated through that deep sleep. And I think we need that more than ever to deal with the polarization and the stress in the world, so we can show up and continue to be in a space that we're living our life from a centered space. And I think that we need that. And that goes into this podcast. We talk about consciousness too, like that it's not just one thing. It's not just the physical aspect, but it's how is it affecting collectively our neighbors, our family. And so I think it's really big what you're doing, and also the destigmatizing it with, thank goodness for the research, because it's going to help make it more accessible. So let's explore the legal landscape. Let's talk about the legality of just CBD products across the regions, because that's a little bit different than THC and medical cannabis cards. But then I'd like to segue into that. So tell us a little bit about that, how that product variation for CBD is different, and what maybe people in Pennsylvania need to know about the legal status of CBD.
Yep, absolutely. So in 2018, when the Farm Bill was passed and it became an act, so the 2018 Farm Act, when that passed, that legalized hemp products within Pennsylvania and a lot of other states. So within Pennsylvania and anywhere, as long as the product falls under 0.3% Delta 9 THC, there's other types of THC out there, but Delta 9 is the most abundant and most psychoactive. If it falls under that, it's considered hemp. So from there, we can basically sell anything that falls under 0.3% by weight. So that's the legality of it right now. And that's at dry weight at the time of harvest, as the current law states. So As long as hemp products are being lab tested and third party tested, and you have documentation to prove that those tests are accurate, then you are 100% legal.
Wonderful. So as far as purchasing CBD products, before we go into THC and cannabis card, there are a lot on the market. Like I said, there's some available at gas stations. And I think this is where people get these experiences where like, well, CBD didn't work for me. And that's where I was like, when I saw everything blowing up and everyone's coming to us at their door and wants us to sell their stuff, I thought, oh my gosh, I really, really wish people would be able to try something that's really high quality. So how does someone navigate finding or identifying high quality products? And what standards does Hempfield adhere to for safety and efficacy?
Yeah. So first thing I always tell, if you're an Amazon shopper and you're trying to buy CBD on Amazon and they're claiming that it's CBD, it's not, because you are not allowed to sell any type of product like that. It is hemp seed oil. So that's what it is. So a lot of people that are like, oh, well, this didn't work for me, or I bought it at the or at the convenience store, the gas station. Well, no kidding. Like, would you trust really anything health related to buy from a gas station? No. If you need a Tylenol when you're on the road, of course you're going to stop, but that's a regulated item. This is not. And that's where the issue comes. So then when you see people say, well, I tried it and it didn't work for me, I'm like, well, one, where did you get it from? Let's look it up. Let's see if there's a lab test for it. And if there isn't, then you probably got ripped off. So, and that happened a lot in the beginning. So yeah, that's kind of where that's at. But where Hempfield Botanicals stands apart is we really focus on we call them the 3 T's of CBD, right? So it's transparency. So what's on the label? What is on that label? Is it accurate? What are the milligrams? Are the milligrams listed on there? Then traceability. Is there a lot number on that packaging somewhere? You have to have a lot number to then be able to determine if that product was tested. So, and then the third T is testing. So transparency, traceability, and testing. And testing is the third party testing. So they all tie together. So if there's no milligrams of CBD on the label, there's no way, and no lot number, there's no way to test it, to be able to determine if it was tested and if it says what's in that product is actually in that product. So those are the 3 things that we really tell people to look for. Is there a milligram on the box? If there isn't, then don't get it. Is there a lot number on the box? If there isn't, then don't get it. And then is there a lab report area on the company's website that they can then go to that specific category of products and that lot number and pull that up to prove that what's in that product that they're claiming is actually there. So that's the biggest thing. And, I would say like 98% of people that try a quality product see benefits from it. So if you're getting something that is a quality product, absolutely, it's going to make a huge difference.
Yeah, I completely agree. Because we had before the beginning, we had gotten a lot of samples we were comparing it back and forth with Hempfields. We're like, nope. So we had fun with that. That was kind of fun. And we were just like, further cheering you guys on. We just love you guys.
We love you too.
Oh, thank you. So with the CBD products, again, this is for those listening out there. This is either the topical or the oral oils, and in these products for working with pain, inflammation, sleep, even stress. And I'm kind of curious here, before we move into talking about THC-based products and cannabis medical cards, can you just explain to people, when you're using CBD products, people sometimes think that you might get high. And like I mentioned earlier, we had that client that was so relaxed, but he wasn't high. Right. Can we talk about what they may experience like in their body? What does the experience feel like in comparison, in contrast to getting high with THC-based products?
Yeah. So THC is very mind altering, right? So it hits you almost, in the head right away. It's almost like, I almost compare it to kind of like alcohol, even though alcohol is poison. Cannabis isn't necessarily, it is not, I shouldn't say necessarily, it is not. But think about it that way. So that, that overwhelming kind of like dizzy feeling, super relaxed, very melty feeling from THC, right? CBD is very different. You don't get that feeling. You feel a sense of calm. So even if you were to get like high CBD flower, and, do a dry herb vaporizer or roll a joint with high CBD flower, it's so calming. It's insanely calming. But yet, if you would do the same thing with a THC product, it's very calming, but in a very different way. So it's almost like intensity. I will say that.
Yeah.
So on a scale of 1 to 100, CBD can be very calming at maybe like a 10, where THC, depending on the amount of THC in the product, could, go up to 100. It just depends on the amount of THC in it.
Thank you for that illustration, because I hesitate to compare CBD to like chamomile tea, because they
Right.
have a different effect on, like, if you drink chamomile tea, you're like, well, why would I just drink my chamomile tea and not do CBD? It's different, but I feel like the subtlety of the effect is like that, and then like the pain is
Absolutely.
reducing or going completely
Absolutely.
away, and that's like after a really good massage or a really good yoga practice or something
Yep.
like that, or a really good meditation or hanging out in nature, and you feel super good. That's what I would explain it as, and not this high where you're in an altered state of consciousness.
Yeah, I actually love that analogy of comparing it to meditation. Very much so. Very similar, like that, just full body, like nice and relaxed. But you can get up and just float on right out the door and get in your car and drive, and you're fine. You don't have to worry about, being dizzy or, just like super, super chill. Definitely cannabis does slow your reaction times down as well. So think about it that way. It's very relaxing to your nervous system and your musculatory system in a
Perfect.
different way.
Perfect. Well, let's talk about then CBD or THC and cannabis cards. And I know that you offer cooking classes, cooking with cannabis.
Yep.
Let's talk about the medicalization and how that looks as far as the difference in access and what it looks like to get those products, how you do it, and what type of conditions you might have that you might be a good candidate for a medical card.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, in Pennsylvania, we are a medical state. We are not a recreational state. So like I had mentioned earlier, there's about, I think, 21 or 22 different conditions on the PA medical marijuana website that you need to fall within one of those. So things like anxiety is one, spasms like oh my gosh, I'm not even going to be able to say intractable spasms, epilepsy, so seizures, lots of different things like that. Even I believe on the PA site, if you are a cancer patient going through chemo, you're able to get your card as well. So there's a lot of different things like, that are on there, a lot of different medical conditions. So as long as you meet one of those, and then basically you just have to meet with a specific prescribing physician, because not all physicians can prescribe medical marijuana. And basically, if you are going to a physician to get a medical marijuana card, one thing I do suggest is, or that I always say, don't go in there with high expectations of prescribers to understand it, because they don't. They don't. They know very little about cannabis. They know some of the benefits and things like that. But to go into detail, to really find out what strain would help you, what cannabinoids do I need to look for, they are not educated on that. Unfortunately, the whole endocannabinoid system in the medical world is just completely ignored. So physicians aren't trained it. I was never taught about it as a nurse. So it's yeah, definitely it can be tough to get education around it. So I always say, if you're going to get your card, definitely look for some help outside of there. And that's one thing that I pride myself on and our company on, is education. So but yeah, you basically just go get your card, and then once you are approved, then you can go into a medical dispensary and choose from lots of different things. So as long as you fall into those categories, you can absolutely get a card. But in Pennsylvania currently, and all states currently, there's a crazy loophole in the law currently that you actually don't even need a medical card anymore until they change the Farm Bill, which they are working on currently, to include THCA. So THCA is the precursor to Delta 9 THC. So when it's combusted or heated, which is called decarboxylation, once that happens, then it converts into Delta 9. So currently right now we have flower in here that has high THCA, that once it's lit, it converts into Delta 9 and then creates that high feeling within your brain. So yeah, it's a crazy loophole right now. So, I always say, if you're going to get a medical card, if you have any type of a job that does any drug testing, or that has a really strong medical cannabis use policy, get your card. Just be safe, because you don't want to risk that. But for those people that don't have that and don't have that type of a thing, there's definitely other options.
Awesome. And let's dive into that then. For, of course, we can purchase products for CBD products, topical products, the facial line, which is incredible. We didn't touch on that. And of course, scrubs and body butters, all on the website that I'll be putting in the show notes. But as far as visiting the Hempfield Apothetique in Lancaster, tell us a little bit about what that is like, what you have offerings there, what kind of education you provide, and what the experience might be like.
It's like my pride and joy. I love, love, love what I do. As a nurse, in the hospital system, it was hard because, you're just running around passing pills nonstop and charting. So this space gives me that autonomy to use my nursing education, but in a different way with cannabis. So I do a lot of educating patients that just got their medical card or considering their medical card. Like I said, when you get that card, you're basically handed a card. And if you have no experience with cannabis, you don't know what in the world to pick, what to do. I've seen older patients that have gotten medical cards in their 70s that have gone into a dispensary and were given the absolute wrong product and got so high and so scared, like almost I'm going to go to the hospital scared. And it just, that could have been prevented if there's some education around it. So that's really what Hempfield Apothetique is about, education. So I do consultations with patients, help them get on a plan and figure out what to choose, what route. Do they want to take a drop? Do they want to take a vaporizer? Do they want to are they using flour, gummies, different things like that? So I help them navigate that whole process. And then Hempfield Apothetique, other things that we offer, like you had mentioned earlier, cooking with cannabis. So, a lot of people don't like to smoke, right? It's carcinogenic. Anytime you burn something to the point of black soot cannot be good for your body. So there's different ways to incorporate it into your life in a little bit more healthier way. So I teach people how to process their flower, infuse it into different types of bases, and then learn how to cook with it and get those endocannabinoids or those phytocannabinoids through food. So there's lots of different ways like that. And then we offer different classes, sound meditations and restorative yoga. And then we do fun things. We have different things here in the Apothetique. We just opened up the lounge. So we do have a consumption lounge now where you can come in and consume on site. You can get mocktails. So we have a form of mocktail with nothing in it, but just the amazing juices, but then you can add THC to that. So we do different things like that in small doses. So there's lots of different fun ways that we're using cannabis here. We do art classes and all fun things. So there's lots going on, and it's just a really beautiful place to be.
When you guys opened up, I was so excited for you guys. I was like, this is going to be amazing. So I'm really grateful that that's happening and that's continuing. And again, if you guys are local or if you're visiting Lancaster County, a lot of people actually come when they're visiting, they come near Lancaster, they come they want to visit Hershey. This is like Gettysburg. This is where people kind of do this little triangle around and
Yeah.
check out the historic landmarks, go to Intercourse, PA, definitely stop by and visit the Hempfield Apothetique. We really love it there. It was so cool. We got a tour of everything. You make everything. Our staff loved that. It was so cool.
Yeah. It's a beautiful
Well,
place. We love our building and it has amazing energy. And, it's a place for people to find tools just like you, right? Tools for your toolbox. And, what we do, us ladies, like, we're making a difference and giving people a place that they can go to decompress and find alternative ways to help live a better life. So,
yeah. Yeah. And if you're out there, any everyday stress you're dealing with, life circumstances, but particularly too, if you are a high performer or you're a business owner or a conscious leader, there's a lot more self-imposed pressure I think we put on ourselves with high integrity and standards and performance and wanting to make sure we're being heart-centered and leading our teams. And I think that products like this, community, self-care, and any tool we can add to our toolbox to continue to show up and make a difference in this world is absolutely needed too. So if anyone's out there listening that resonates with that, this is just another potential tool for you guys.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep. Just like any plant-based medicine,
Yeah.
it has a place. And,
Mhm.
it's one of the, 8 or 9 plants on the earth that have phytocannabinoids in them that actually directly affect that endocannabinoid. So there's no other plants or no other supplements on this world that if you have a deficiency in that system, that you can supplement it with phytocannabinoids from the cannabis plant. So, it's a body system just like any other system in our body, and it produces amazing benefits. So yeah, I highly recommend, anybody suffering from pain or inflammation or lack of sleep or just, generalized, just not feeling good or feeling down, just give it a try. And see. Like I said, 98% of people out there feel the benefits from it. So there's always that small amount that have some sort of genetic condition that it blocks the effectiveness and the feelings of that you get. But the majority of people really do get amazing benefits.
That's good to know. So wrapping up here, tell us a little bit about the future of the cannabis industry. What trends do you perceive coming, particularly like CBD products or even THC products? And even I will mention, we'll kind of segue out here, even into the potential as we move into psychedelic medicine with other medicines. Are you guys preparing to adapt to these changes and, just kind of what's on the horizon for you guys?
Absolutely. So yeah, anything like, Kara, like it's such a gimmicky world out there. And I remember when CBD first came out, there was actually a CBD infused pillow, like pillow. I'm like, how does that doesn't work? Like it's so gimmicky. And things like bath salts or facial cleanser or body wash that have CBD added into them, CBD has to sit on your skin for 10 to 20 minutes for it to be effective. So if you're literally washing your face and in the shower and rinse it right back off, you're like, you might as well just throw your wallet in the trash. Like you're just wasting money on a product that's not being effective. So we absolutely refuse to do gimmicky products just to make $1. That's not who we are. So we really, trends are trends. We really just try to produce a product that is going to be effective and that people fall in love with and that will continue to use because they're finding the benefits from it. So it's the gimmicks are always going to be there, but as research goes on and we see more research, of course we're going to jump on that. So if there's a new cannabinoid or a cannabinoid that they find that helps with something else, specifically, that might be something, that we jump on and create an oral oil with that cannabinoid. So those things that are backed by science, that's what it's about. It's not about selling just something because we can sell it. So that's really, we want to be able to produce those effective products.
Absolutely. Completely. 100%. Well, I am so glad that you guys took the time to come on and chat with us. I do have two final closing questions
Okay.
that I ask everyone when they come on our as a guest for the first time. So the first question, Heather, is what is your current favorite self-care indulgence or activity at this time? How do you fill up your cup?
Oh, I fill up my cup with art and creativity. That's my passion. I'm not an artist. I don't necessarily paint to a high caliber degree, but I love to create. So whether it's, just taking an art class, we do puff paints here, which is hilarious. It's so fun. You can get a cocktail, THC infused cocktail, or a smokable item, and create, and it's fun, and I don't know, cannabis allows me to just kind of let go and just be and create and focus in the moment. So those two together are some of my favorite self-care things.
I love that. I just did an episode with a creator for our last episode. So talking
Yay.
about creativity and consciousness and
So
flow
important.
states. Yeah. My final question then is, second question, is if you could detox one thing in your life or the world right now, what would that be? Cell phones. Yeah.
My cell phone, absolutely, my cell phone.
Yeah.
And that just entails everything, just social media, right?
Yeah.
It's just never ending, and the ways that people can contact you, text, email, inbox messages, it's overwhelming. So that little device,
Yes.
if I can totally get rid of it, I would love to.
Yes. Yeah. And as a business owner, I've, as much as I could, offloaded, inbox zero is my goal always. But you get, people start emailing you and texting you and Facebook messaging you, and there's so many avenues. And I was just thinking the other day, I don't, at least I'm at my 40s now, where I really don't care if people get offended by me not answering them, because
Right.
it's not really ever the intention. It's just, this is intrusive and it's totally not good for the mental health or for the nervous system. And if I'm supposed to connect with them and it's supposed to happen and it's in the timing, that's why I have if you ever email me, for those who have my email address, it says cyber detox mode. I have an autoresponder that I will respond when I get to it. And obviously if it's a priority, I'll, get to it. But I think that's something that I wish more people would do, because it's just a cultural program box that we are following along with because it's the norm. And if we don't do it, then we're not quote unquote professional. And I'm like, well, if you still get stuff done, you're still running a company, being a badass company boss like you are, right?
Yep.
We're still doing it. And it doesn't, we're not having to I don't know. That's just my own take on that.
I agree with that 100%. And I admire you for that. When I email you and I get that responder, I'm like, this woman has got it going on. She knows what it's about. So yeah, if you ever have any tips on that,
yes,
because I am all for it.
And I'll share that for anyone listening. Lots of tips, but one of the things I really loved is there's a gentleman named Stephen Cutler. He's an author and he was a journalist, and he has a program called Zero to Dangerous, and it's about getting in flow states and really maximizing your potential without burning out. And one of the things we talk about is inbox zero. Let's say delegation and things that come along with being a CEO, but I think just for me, nervous system resilience is so important. Being a medium, I'm very sensitive and I'm being neurodivergent. Energy is a huge thing for me, and it might be seen, out there for other people, but that is actually a real thing for my nervous system. So managing it, and that was a game changer for me in being able to continue to scale and run my business. So
that's amazing. Yeah. You said that's a book. I'm definitely getting
I'll send email to you. Flow Research Collective. Anyone else is interested in that, I'll also put that in the show notes. It's really good for performance, even for your teams. So
I love that. Yay.
Yeah. Cool. It's all based on neuroscience too. So it's great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh, I love it.
Yeah. Well, everyone, thank you again for listening. I hope that you've learned something, share something, tag a friend, ask questions if you have questions, and of course, directly reach out and check out Hempfield Botanicals, Apothetique, and their online website. So we appreciate you being here, Heather. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Be well until next time, my friends. Thank you for listening to the Mind Body Detox Podcast. If you love this podcast, share it with others and leave us a review. Your reviews help us more than you know and supports us continuing to make episodes and being heard from all over the world. You can also follow the link in our show notes to submit a topic that you would like to hear on the show.